Hello, America. This is Emerald Angel, aka Ace and Beaky, and I'm just here to say I kind of wanted to throw something out there. Now, this is kind of a theory that a lot of people don't seem to be taking too seriously, but maybe we should start to question what some of our elites are saying. I understand that nowadays it's really easy for the younger crowd of people, and I'm not singling out the younger crowd of people, I'm an apologetic millennial. But the thing is that it seems that people in my age group, who I will stand up for in most other cases, they have a vulnerability for scientists in the same way that medieval Europeans had a vulnerability for religion, meaning that they could be led astray and that they didn't think that it was possible for somebody to, misquote the Bible and lead them astray with the Bible when in fact y'all were illiterate. You don't even know what the Catholic Church was saying back in the day. Some of those priests could have been saying anything that it came from the Bible, and you wouldn't have known any better. You wouldn't have known the wiser. So even though people say, well, religion is faith, it can't be applied to scientists. Scientists are humans too. They can be bribed. And just like some religious folks will believe in an end of the world where humanity has to die because of its sins against Father God, some of these scientists believe that humanity ought to be wiped out because of sins to Mother Nature, that the earth would be better off without human sin. Well, it would be better off without human sin, just not humanity as a whole. Whether you consider sin more against a patriarchal, hierarchical male god, or that has a more linear thought process, or you consider it a more equal relationship based Mother Earth. We kind of see differences that in Eastern and Western thought, and in kind of the mentality of people on the left and the right, as it's about masculine versus feminine. But I'm not here to say that. I just want to throw out something there that we need to be paranoid about, because even if you think that this is nothing but just a bunch of conspiracy hooey, we're living in a day and age where a lot of conspiracy theories are being exposed as at least being partially true. And even though I won't get into matters of aliens, lizard, and Illuminati, at least not in this video, a lot of it's true, just like you could be talking about religion, and even if you don't believe in miracles, God, the devil, angels, demons, and all that, you can at least believe in the stuff in Proverbs that's about basic wisdom, and the stuff that is history. What I wanted to say about this concerns the well, I'm not going to get monetized anytime soon, so it's probably not going to hurt if I say it now. But let's just in case, let's just call it the Kung Flu. The sickness that supposedly came from our debt overlords in the East, China. Now, whatever they say it is, I think that whether you think that the mainstream narrative is completely true, highly exaggerated, or outright false, some shade in between, something doesn't have to be a conspiracy theory from the get-go to be capitalized off of. And I think that maybe we need to take another look at what is going on with the coronavirus while we're sitting here being all scared and shit, when there's some stuff that's happening behind the scenes. Yes, I know there's no way I could know more than a scientist, and I don't claim to know more than a scientist about science. But I know that because they know more about it than me, they can lie to me, and it can seem true because I don't know any better. Just like if I was a medieval Christian, these Catholic priests, nothing against Catholics now, but like back in the day, all Christians were Catholic, minus the Greek Orthodox. Whatever kind of patriarch or pope is there, they can tell me that the Bible says whatever, and they do spend all day reading the Bible, and they do know what it says, but they know that we don't know what it says, so they could basically tell us what it says, and we wouldn't know because we were illiterate. That's why during the time of the printing press, whenever a lot of people could read the Bible for themselves, they got disgusted with the European priesthood because it was just becoming basically the little bitches of the European aristocracy, even though said people who broke away from them were quite religious themselves. Now, the thing is that I wanted to say is that I'm going to repeat what some other people have been saying, and it seems to me that the mainstream media is trying to pull the authority card on us and trying to act like that just because somebody's got a certificate or a title doesn't mean they're above lying. Yes, if you're a scientist, you know more about science than me. If you're a doctor, you know more about medical health than me. I will concede that to you. But the thing is, you're still human. You're in a high position with corrupt politicians, and you've already stated multiple times that you would like to lower the human population. You've already stated multiple times that you would like to create a high-tech feudal system. You would like to create a technocracy where scientific elites are in charge. That means that you can be just as corrupt as any of these medieval aristocrats and monarchs that pretend to be buddy-buddy with Jesus just to keep the peasants under control. It happened with European middle-aged Christians, and it happened with the Chinese and their philosophers, and I used to be religious and I'm a philosopher now. But the thing is that a lot of these people will use that as a bridge between the amoral desires of leadership and the inconvenient idealistic of the masses. If I was going to paraphrase from a book I got in philosophy class, which was 3 Lines of Thought in Ancient China, the point still stands. Just because our management used to be more religious and capitalist, and now it's more technocratic and communal-minded, doesn't stop them from being human and doesn't stop them from being controlled by the people who've probably been controlling everything from the get-go. The people who rule the world like a feudalistic medieval mafia have always been in control, and they'll be in control whether it's from something religious or secular, whether it's from something left-wing or right-wing, and people will have to be able to see past their personal preferences to realize whenever they've just been presented a different puppet that looks like somebody that you like, as opposed to a puppet that looks like something somebody else liked but pissed you off. Just because I'm against the tyrants of the baby boomers does not mean that I'm for the tyrants of the millennials. And again, I say this as somebody that even though I was historically conservative and religious, I'm more of a moderate now, but as somebody who was historically conservative and grew up in the Bible Belt South and served in the military and was even homeschooled for a bit, that I tried to see both sides humanity. But I also realize that a lot of times people will start out with valid points that I should respect, and then those valid points will devolve into who's right over what's right. What I wanted to get to is that I think, or I'm at least very open to the idea, that they are exaggerating the numbers, saying people died of corona when they really died of something else. Some of the people were diagnosed with corona, yes, but they didn't die from it. The people who actually straight up died directly from Kung Flu are few and far between. And of course, it's not asking too much for us to take a handful of reasonable precautions to cocoon the potential victims of this, mostly the elderly and some young children. I wouldn't get too upset if they did raise my taxes a tiny bit to have like a glorified Meals on Wheels thing to help the elderly and those at highest risk get what they need without leaving their houses. We probably don't need to raise any taxes. We just have to take it out of something that we already spend way too much money on, like the military. I'm a veteran, but we spend too much on military as it is. And the thing is, it doesn't even help the soldiers. It mostly goes to third-party contractors. I know this because whenever I was in the Army and I was talking with supply, they were talking about how we didn't always get the best weapons for the best prices. We often got some of the cheapest weapons for some of the worst prices because we were beholden to certain third-party corporations. But what this is happening, like even if we cocoon the elderly, even if we try to do the right thing for them, we shouldn't be softening up ourselves for martial law, police state, and economic collapse. Whether it's a Chinese-style draconian technocracy that the left seems to drool over, a neo-feudalistic Roman fascistic corporate police state, Pluto Caesarism, which the alt-right would like to do with Trump, or some form of the various flavors of fascism, Orwellianism, and just plain vanilla authoritarianism, we don't want it. For all we know, the government might put us into lockdown, start taking people who they claim to have the virus, killing them, and say they died of the virus. I think there's enough people questioning the status quo that they're not going to do that yet. But if the thing is that if they can basically say that everybody who died, who was going to die regardless, died of corona when they didn't, and if people go along with it, then we can see how easily society is manipulated. We can see that if 90% of the people that they attribute to the coronavirus was actually like people who died of car accidents or were already on their way out, even if they technically were diagnosed with the coronavirus, it didn't necessarily kill them. Somebody warned that America was going to evolve into a form of totalitarianism that would have the trappings of capitalism and democracy to deceive us, a prison without walls and slavery without tears. I think we got to be careful that even good people we should love and respect might be manipulated by bad actors, and I know, as saying out of tough love for everybody else and preaching to myself, I know that a lot of people who fancy themselves idealistic and good people are very easily used as cannon fodder and useful idiots of the bad people. I say that with love. I'm preaching that to myself. And I kind of hope that some of you can just take a moment to, look in the mirror and think for yourself. No, I don't claim to know everything. New information comes to light every day, and I could be wrong. This is a conspiracy theory. But conspiracy theories have also gotten an unfair amount of snobbery from everybody else, and a lot of people who won't even consider conspiracy theories do so out of a obsequious respect for the established authority that they don't realize they have, despite seeing themselves as rebels, or as kind of an arrogant superiority complex of saying, well, I'm not like one of those conspiracy theorists. The thing is that the establishment has a long history of lying to us, and it's about time that we start looking at the establishment with at least as much of a paranoid eye as we look at any random weirdo on the internet. Sure, I'm not saying that you should take my word for it. You should take it with a huge grain of salt, but it's kind of disproportionate how basically every time somebody has a valid conspiracy theory based on research, that they're treated like a fucking whack job whenever the establishment has led us into war after war after war, and is responsible for a lot of the things that we see now, whether it's police brutality that is based on actual racism or is just based on psychopathy and militarization, or if there's something that's toxic coming from the left or from the right. The thing is that we tend to bow down to our elites because we kind of see them as gods at a subconscious level, at least the ones we vote for. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, that maybe more people need to take into consideration that if this was as dangerous as they said it was, it'd be best to cocoon the people who are the most potentially vulnerable and let everybody else get on largely with their lives or largely with business, with some changes that came because of the coronavirus, which were good. I hate to say it, it was kind of good for some of the petty tyrants in the business side of things to be brought to their knees and be humbled a bit. But if we allow this to be kind of like a forest fire that wipes out small business, the rich will get even richer, and there won't be any mom and pop stores to kind of rival or challenge the already oversized big government monopolies. Anyway, I'll talk more on this later. Y'all have a good day. Bye.